Hello, good evening. We're here in the headquarters of LEKKER Bikes in Amsterdam, and I'm going to introduce you to Meindert and to Niels in a while. My name is Rob Scholte. I'm consultant at Funding Masters, founder and consultant at Funding Masters. We're guiding LEKKER Bikes with their funding round, and I'm happy to share this evening with you. So, welcome Meindert, the founder. Welcome Niels, CEO of this company. Maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit, Meindert.
Yeah, thank you very much for helping us, Rob. I'm Meijnerd Wolfraat, born in Hilversum, raised in Lochem, a small place in the background of the Netherlands, and lived for 10 years in Australia, and now happy to stay here for the last 4 years already in Amsterdam.
Okay, you live in Amsterdam at the moment.
Yes.
Very good, great. And Niels?
Hi, I'm Niels. I'm from Haarlem. I've been with LEKKER now for around 10 years. I think my journey started 10 years ago. Also been a lot to Australia, a lot of times up and down, but always located here. And very excited to have you here. It's a bit strange looking in the camera. But I hope you're all there, and it's excited to do this Q&A from our brand store here in Amsterdam with the new bikes around us. So I'm excited to get started.
You have a Swedish girlfriend, right?
I have a Swedish partner, a wife. I got married last week.
Last week.
Yes. Who I actually met when we went out on a trip with a LEKKER boat in Sweden. So it's full circle.
Okay, very good. Thanks for hosting us. Tonight we're going to tell you a little bit more about LEKKER Bikes and the investment in the company you can make. This is a Q&A, so please ask your questions. Should you have any, you can send them in, use in the chat, and we will get them in our center over here. Chris is helping us with the technique, so if something goes wrong, we will ask him for help, and he will guide us through the questions later on tonight. What's the agenda for today? Hopefully you can see the agenda in your screen. First of all, we would like to start a little bit about the dream of Meindert. Then we are going to tell you a little bit more about LEKKER Bikes, where they stand right now, the bikes themselves, and how they intend to grow. And after we have a little bit finished the introduction of LEKKER Bikes, we will tell you a little bit about the finance, the valuation, and how you can invest in LEKKER Bikes, because that's where it's all about, of course. At the end of this evening, you will be able to send in your questions. Still send in your questions. We will answer them, and hopefully at the end of tonight, you know everything about LEKKER Bikes, everything about the investment proposal, and you will hit the button to invest yourself. So let's start. Meindert, maybe it's good if you tell a little bit more about your dream, how you started this company.
Yes, thanks, Rob. So I started in 2008 in Australia. I was studying English. I'm very dyslexic, and I was going from Bondi Beach to the CBD, the Central Business District, and the transportation was quite bad. So it took me an hour, and I was missing my Dutch bike. And then I realized basically that we are in a massive cycle culture in the Netherlands, and I was missing my bike every day because public transport was not the ideal way to move forward. I ordered some bikes in the Netherlands, used them myself, and there were a lot of people complaining, screaming about having bikes on the road, wearing no helmet, saying that it's suicide or other jokes. But there were also a lot of people very positive. They said, "Wow, what cool that you have a Dutch bike. Where do you get it from? Can I buy one? What is this for bike?" That brought me to the idea to start my own bicycle brand, LEKKER. And my vision, what is still today, is to make a high quality, durable bike that lasts for a very long time, and you don't throw it away after whatever 5 or 10 years. And the most competitors in Australia were mostly very cheap bikes what get used maybe 5 times a year, stays in the garage, but not the way how we use bikes in Amsterdam every day for hard usage.
Okay.
So that was my dream, to build up a bike brand for my Dutch heritage.
Okay.
What's quality and what the Aussies can use as well.
Okay. I'm still curious, how did you come to the name of Lekker? Because it's quite a Dutch word,
Yes.
so to say.
Yes. So Lekker, the supplier called me when I was ordering the bikes, and he said, I need a decal, a sticker on the bike. Can you give me a name in 24 hours? And I said, oh, that's very shortage. I haven't thought about it well. So I asked everyone in my family, my friends, and at the end, nobody came up with a good name. So I went to a bar, spoke to a lot of people, and I asked them all, listen, I have a challenge. I need in 24 hours my name. And Georgie, a girl next to me, was saying, listen, I've been many times to the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
And every time when I'm coming there, people are saying in almost every sentence, lekker. Lekker weather, lekker food, lekker girl, tasty. So, why don't you call it lekker?
Okay.
It's a very...
It's a Dutch name, but you can use it internationally because it works in Germany, in Australia, in whatever country.
Yeah, South Africa, they say lekker bro, cool bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good, great.
I think the fun thing about the name, the first time I heard it when you started, I was like, this is a name. It's a little bit like you like it or not, but you will always remember it, wherever you're from. And I think that's what we still see today.
Okay. That's important in the name. So maybe Niels, can you tell us a little bit about your slogan? Because you say the way we write is kind of your way of living, your slogan, how you want to work. Can you elaborate?
No, it's like it's a slogan we started with this year, like in line with the launch of Gen 3. I think there's a lot of sentiment in the market with there's a lot happened in the bike market, and I think for us what's really important, and it's sort of like the way we ride resembles that, is we want to get you a bike that just does the job. The bike shouldn't be the middle point. It's actually where it brings you, or the experience you have with your bike. So very simply said, it's about the real things you do with your bike, and we want to deliver a bike that does that exactly. It still can look amazing, it still can have incredible features, but most importantly, it needs to work, it needs to be serviceable, and it needs to be durable, because like you said, sharing your dream, we want to get you on the road for a very long time.
Okay, clear. Thank you.
It's a functional design.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything is designed for a function and not to be a gadget or cool or whatever.
Yeah.
It needs to work.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
Indestructible.
Okay, great. Good to hear. For people who chipped in a little bit later, I'm here at the headquarters of LEKKER Bikes in Amsterdam. I'm sitting with Meindert, the founder of this company, and Niels, the CEO. So this is our Q&A. If you want to ask questions, please send them in using the chat function, and we will answer them later on tonight. Okay, so far that was the way we write. You already are on this earth selling bikes for quite some time.
Well, I think mine started in 2009, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think since that day,
Okay.
I think we're now on 30,000 bikes, roughly. A little bit all over the place. So I think the majority is in Australia, because for most of the people that are tuning in are from the Netherlands and Germany. We're actually really big in Australia. Sometimes it's a real shame we can't show it, but like every second bike on the street in Melbourne is a Lekker. It's amazing to see.
Yeah.
We hit and then obviously in the Netherlands and Germany is sort of like the second largest, and a few in the US where we've been for a couple of years. 2023 biggest achievement, we did 8 million revenue. It's a big step for us. We're looking at towards the next 5 years really focusing on the Netherlands and Germany, and consolidating in Australia. And I think another achievement is that over that period of time, we've established a 4.5 Trustpilot score. So, really living up to the promise that we give with the product that we offer.
Okay, the Trustpilot score is really higher than your competitors.
Yeah, I would say it's like you balance it out against the number of reviews, right? So we're way over 1,000 reviews. I think we're sitting at somewhere 1,100, 1,200.
Okay,
so and a 4.5 is high. It's among the highest. Yeah. Depends a little bit if I say like we are the highest, but
That's always dangerous.
I would say we're might be the highest.
Okay,
Yeah.
it might be. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So that's what you did last year. You're selling e-bikes most of the times right now, but you started with conventional bikes in Australia, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we started with the normal bikes because at that time, 15 years ago, there were not that many e-bikes in general. So I think we started 5-6 years ago with e-bikes.
I think 2018.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah.
And
First in Australia, and then 2019, 2020, we moved our e-bikes to Europe.
and a success so far.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
definitely.
And you're not intended to sell the conventional bikes for a long period now, or?
No, we're
Phase
moving.
that?
We're moving towards becoming fully e-bike focused. So this is in Europe. We've always been, or for the majority of time. In Australia, we're selling the remaining conventionals. It's going to be a hard goodbye, but towards the end of the year, we're being fully e-bike driven in Australia.
Hopefully you don't have too much stock in Australia on the conventional bikes, but
They're going actually quite fast at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
okay, maybe that's a good bridge, a nice step towards the current generation e-bikes. You call them the third generation e-bikes.
Yeah. Gen 3.
Gen 3,
In short,
exactly.
I assume most of you watching should have received a few emails by now, and maybe there's some pre-orders placed. I hope so. Gen 3 is a big step for us. We're releasing it as we speak. They actually arrived today in our warehouse. The first.
I saw the truck driving by earlier this afternoon.
That's an amazing coincidence. You saw that. Now we have the first 600
or 600.
600, and the first 100 are being shipped tomorrow. 60% sold in Germany so far, 40% in the Netherlands. Yeah, it's amazing. We're super proud of it. They're here behind us. It's an urban line which is for inner city use, 3-speed, mid-drive, and we have a more powerful version. But I think the biggest changes is we modern day technology, but still staying very sort of close to functional elements that we really appreciate, and moving to a full mid-drive setup.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean by mid-drive setup?
Mid-drive engines.
Okay,
So,
mid-drive engine.
yeah. So all our bikes have a mid-drive.
Sorry.
Mid-drives. We have a call. It's okay.
I think this
It's
is
part of it.
I just hang up. It's a bull. Yeah.
Okay, great. So there's two lines. There's the urban line and the GT line.
Yeah. So the urban line is a mid-drive with an automatic 3-speed, and then the GTS can be seen as sort of like the more powerful version, stronger engine. It's more suitable for a hilly environment, longer distances. We've added displays as well, so it's a bit of a more complete. I would say for inner city use, the Urban is the perfect bike, and to be honest, I'm extremely excited. I'm super proud of this collection, and knowing that they're going to be shipped out to our customers tomorrow is kind of exciting.
I can imagine that. Yeah, you worked a long time.
Yeah, we had to
on
wait.
this introduction.
Yeah, we had 9 weeks delay, so we had some trouble bringing the freight over for what happened, due to what happened in the Middle East with the ships. So yeah, unfortunately, it took a little longer, but right now we can finally start it. So.
Okay. And this is a bike, of course, you can sit on it yourself, but there's also some accessories to use it for children, like the children's seats, etc.
Yeah, I think if you look at like sort of like the fundamentals to our bike design, so we don't really believe in revolutions. It's like evolution. So step by step, we're improving our bike. So what you're used to seeing with LEKKER Bikes is your downline. It's sort of like based on the archetype Dutch bike, sort of like the oma fiets, the grandma bike. That's something we really appreciate, and there's a lot of beautiful new products coming to market, but there's some essentials missing. What we appreciate with the Jordan, for example, it's adjustable in all ways, a headset lock. There's space for a baby seat. It's modern technology, but we stay true to the functionality of the bike as we know the bike for a very long time. We think durability is a very important part. So we use proven technology. So we select our components based on sort of a proven track record. That's why we work together with Schwalbe, with Gates, with Enviolo. You name them and their own bike.
Battery.
It's like all kinds of
Banana
components
brakes,
that we know, also based on the fact that we've been in the market for 10 years. Like we've doing bikes for a long time.
15.
Like 15 already.
15
Oh,
years.
Yeah.
Long time.
2009 to 2024.
Yeah, and I think thirdly, the serviceability. And again, big topic in the market. We don't design parts ourselves. We don't want to become the solution for every single warranty issue or wear and tear issue. We think it's important that whatever we produce can be serviced wherever our customer lives. And that also comes with starting a bike brand in Australia. It's a large country. So you want to make sure that you can use that amazing network that is there.
3 times bigger than Europe, Australia.
Okay, so that's not easy in transportation then.
Not really.
And most of your bikes will be sold through the internet, so it's e-commerce company, so to say, but you also have some physical stores to go to. Can you tell a little bit more about
So
that?
we started the first store in Melbourne.
Yep.
Then we ran up to Sydney and Sydney and Brisbane. We started in Amsterdam and Berlin. So that's where the stores are. And then we have a network in the Netherlands with QuickFit, who can service their bikes. But if somebody has in Frankfurt a problem with his bike, we can also go to any local bike store. And if there needs to be a warranty issue or there's a light what needs to be swapped, then we will contact the bike shop and we'll get it organized.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't expect us to open more and more shops. That's also not in the business plan. I think what's important for us is that we position an operational hub, like we've done here in Amsterdam, like we've done in Germany. That's where we grow the team, so we can always service the country or the location locally. We've also done it in Australia because it's such a large country, so that's why we came to Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne. But most importantly, we use these hubs to then further expand our operation in that specific country. So, for example, if you look at the team that we've housed in Berlin, their main projects this year is expanding our service network, making sure that in Hamburg, making sure that in Frankfurt, we have that relationship with local partners to support in service. So it's an expansion of that service network, and then at the same time we're using that as well to increase the opportunity to facilitate test rides, and potentially even sell bikes. So that's why you see those locations, and for now that's where we want to grow the local teams.
Yes. Cool. Okay, but focuses on e-com.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
You said a few minutes ago something about USA. You had some operations there. You said. What's the current status of that?
Well, there's obviously great things to tell. Sometimes things are not going so well. I think the initial idea that we had in 2019, 2020 to go to the US felt very much in line with the growth we saw in Australia. So it felt like a very sensible and a very interesting strategic move. However, we couldn't really predict what was about to happen for the next following 3 years. Yeah. And for us, especially during COVID, being a relatively small but ambitious team in both Australia, Europe, and the US was maybe one step too complicated, especially seeing the external factors we had to work with. So what we've decided in 2022 was to slowly deconstruct the business, which led ultimately in 2023 to close our activities in the US and making sure we fully focused on the Netherlands, Germany, and Australia. And I think that learning is actually key for us, because also if you look at our growth ambition and growth plans, it is that focus and to making sure that we will only move towards a new region, for example, in Europe, if we feel like we maximized our growth in the Netherlands and Germany. So we take a very step-by-step approach.
But that means it's taking less risk in expanding countries or adding countries to your list.
You don't have 3 continents stock. You don't have to run 3 websites. You don't have to run 3 teams. So having focus makes it every penny worth to make a profit out of it.
Okay, makes sense. I think
maybe also good to mention is that Germany has the same revenue of bike sales as all of America.
Okay,
and it's our neighbor country, so it's quite close by.
It's neighbor and they are our friends, so to say. It's
Yeah,
good neighbors.
they grow very fast.
Yeah, okay.
I love it.
And they love to bike as well. Not as much as the Dutch do, but
year on year,
almost.
growth is 70%. So I think we're very happy with having the Germans riding our bikes.
Okay. What you see in the cities, of course, is more and more biking, electrical bikes, electrical steps. So I think for Berlin, Munich, and all the other.
Yeah, I think it's very important to notice as
Yeah.
well that, of course, we have been in a difficult year because of the increase of prices, of the buying, the freight price, what went 4 or 5 times up. But in general, e-bikes is still a huge market. It grows at least 15% a year still. And we are still such a small player, like 8 million if you compare it with some very big boys, that there's massive room to grow.
Okay,
and even when there's my goal or our goal is not to go in 5 years time to 100 million, but I think 30 million is very easy revenue to make, to expand, and to keep all
very
the customers.
Easy, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
You can respond to that once in a while. But
he's the CEO, so he has to do the work. I will help him, of course, but it's more that to keep the customers happy, to make a good quality product, and to grow reasonable organic is more important than going in a huge speed and losing the focus on the product and the customer service and the profit, of course.
Yeah, I can imagine. You mentioned your revenue goal for 2028, 30 million euros. But what are your dreams with Lekker Bikes in the next 3 to 5 years? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
No, at the end, it is that we are making a very good profit. But also aiming for the goal that everybody who's riding our bikes are 99%, I don't say 100%, 99% riding it with a big smile. And they are our ambassador to tell their neighbors, friends, and that's why we give everyone the opportunity to invest. Because we would like to have, for the first time in 15 years, we are opening our shares to the public, basically, and not super wealthy people who are investing in the company, what has been done in the last 4 or 5 years. That everybody who is an ambassador loves their bike, can ride it, but also have the benefits of sharing it, and hopefully we triple or our aim is to multiply your how do you say that?
Value of the company.
Yeah, your investment 3 up to 6 times in the coming 4 or 5 years.
Okay, and that's a 30 million revenue goal. So to say, Niels, feel comfortable with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, 40% positive EBITDA.
14%.
14. Like what is it around?
1.4.
Yeah. I said 1.4. I didn't
yeah,
say 40. No, I said 1.4.
Not to get any mistakes on this, because
like that would be a little bit high. No, I think like if you look at our especially like the result last year, I think we took a lot of pain last year. We restructured the business. We made the organization. We basically put a lot of time and effort in getting a lean organization. Like moving out of the US was a big part. On the performance side, we obviously had to sell a lot of what we call the Gen 2 product bought during basically an exploded supply chain. So very high purchase prices. And like what Meijner said, on top of that, very high freight prices. And especially last year, there was a lot of overstock in the market, both in Australia, both in the US, both in Europe. So very high
bikes or
no, just in general.
Okay,
whether it's conventional, whether it's road bikes, basically any category. So you get a little bit of a perfect storm that you have very high cost price, but you also need to be very campaign driven. So what I'm very happy about, and it's also the progress that you see towards 2024, that we can actually move from a more significant loss to break even. And I think that step that we make from 2023 and 2024, that's why I also think it's a very interesting time to invest. We've done the cleanup. We have a very clean, very lean organization. It's extremely efficient. Very proud of the backbone that we have. We have a very strong tech stack standing. It's the heart of an e-commerce driven D2C brand. We stay true to having that local presence because I personally really believe it's important to stay in touch with our customers, with our riders. That's why I think this place here is beautiful. Upstairs we have the HQ. We have around 15 people sitting, but downstairs is where all the selling and the test rides happen. The same as in Berlin, the same as in Melbourne, Brisbane, and Sydney. So we have that interaction, we have that visibility, and the step we make in terms of margin increase, that step of 10% is significant. And why is it possible?
We have kind of a slide for that. I'm not sure if Chris, can you put that one on the screen?
We can't see the screen.
We can't see the screen, but I'm sure it is there. So it is a huge increase because people look at that graph, they will say, well, how are you going to do that, Niels?
Yeah, and what I said about like leaving the pain in 2023. So the efforts we made in 2023 is like focusing on selling that Gen 2, that very expensive stock, and basically create that situation in 2024 that we can basically have a fresh start. There we have a head start to most of the competition because there's still quite some stock in the market. So for us, moving to those higher margins, while we have been improving the product and while we've been maintaining a very affordable price point, is something I'm very excited about. So it's not only an amazing product we're very excited about, but it's also seeing that financial performance and seeing us moving to a month-over-month profitability later this year. And and we're putting all we have into getting to the break-even point by the end of this year, maybe a small plus, and that's giving us that platform towards the next coming years to take further steps. We not necessarily see a huge increase of OPEX. Of course, we will keep investing in marketing. Ultimately, like in order to grow, we see that where we have the 3 pillars of our business. So like that foundation is in place, the organization, it's scalable, it's lean. We have the operation is extremely efficient. We're fully data driven. As I said, like we did invest quite a bit in our tech stack, and we're working together with an amazing partner responsible for Ace and Tate, responsible for suit supply. So we're having great partners on board. And the third one is obviously the financial part, having the margin and also having the opportunity to easily tap into that service network. Where we basically we can grow without being responsible for all servicing, for all of the sort of after sales that are involved. It allows us to focus on the 3 things that really can accelerate that growth. So first of all, brand awareness. Like I said, not so much problem in Australia. If I'm in Australia, it's amazing how many people know Lekker. It's not that they all ride a bike, because if that would be the case, it would be amazing. But our brand awareness is extremely high, and I think that's what we're lacking still a little bit in the Netherlands and Europe, for the Netherlands and Germany, or in Europe as a whole. And that's really where we want to focus. Make sure we're in the mix, making sure that people either get to know e-bikes by knowing Lekker, or at least being in the mix if people start to sort of browse around. And I think especially this year we're going to make quite a big step, but that's what we need to focus on. Do you want to add something? Because I'm talking a lot here. I just want to make sure we balance things out a little bit.
You told us a little bit about the margin increase, which also means that you will improve your EBITDA from last year to this year with quite a huge step.
So it's probably the biggest step you see.
Exactly.
For
I think I haven't seen steps like these in 30, 40 customers last year, so it's huge. But it's to be explained by the increase in margin, of course, and the relative reduction of OPEX.
Mostly that.
And maybe it's good to say you are not a factory, so LEKKER Bikes is really a marketing and sales driven organization doing the designs themselves, but you're not a producer.
No, so our investments purely in brand development, which obviously results in brand awareness, building a very strong e-commerce driven D2C business. I think that's key. And of course, product is centralized, but we don't want to we don't want to build a very traditional bike business. Like, we want to do what we're good at, and that is designing a product, but also using external support in order to do that. But we are fully keeping design and our vision in product development,
Quality control, probably.
with ourselves, and quality control. But
and the servers at the end, we manage the servers from here, from all the different stores in different countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think most important is knowing that we're in the business for that long. It allows us to make the right decisions in terms of partners, components, and and hopefully that's what people get to experience with Gen 3.
Okay. Yeah. I can imagine that the growth in revenue, of course, will create a little bit more scale.
We got a question.
Okay, we got a question. Chris?
2 questions actually.
2. Okay.
First, Philip, are you planning on releasing a cargo bike as well?
No.
The question, maybe I can repeat the question. Are you going to release a cargo bike? Is that in the plans?
No, that's not in the plans. And why is it not in the plans? Because it's a very different category. Okay. And in order to do that well, both from product development point of view, but also how do you bring in a cargo bike in your operation, it would mean that efficiency and that scalability that we have achieved for the next 5 years, you're basically bringing a whole new category to that. So that's not in our plans at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. There was the second question.
Marcella would like to know, what are the lessons learned from the bankruptcy of Van Moof, if any?
Okay, very good question.
Well,
I think the lessons I'm not sure if everybody could hear Chris, but the question is, what have you learned from the bankruptcy of Van Moof, which is one of the bigger e-bike companies, at least was one of the bigger e-bike companies in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I would say what I really took from that period is the concession we've always taken in our product development, where the fact that we choose best of breed, the fact that we don't choose to design products or parts ourselves, has always been there from the start. I was part of Van Moof for the first 5 years since they started. So 5 years in, that's also when I met Meindert, and that's when I decided to leave Van Moof after 5 years. And obviously I might have taken some of those learnings towards LEKKER, and I've always been very much against proprietary parts. So really designing things ourselves, because I think, especially being a D2C brand and knowing that a bike needs a lot of service, I always saw that as something very complex. So I would say it's more a validation of the product development strategy we always sort of kept close to us. And on top of that, I think moving forward, it's just basically keep doing that.
It's especially the serviceability, which you already mentioned before.
Yeah. I think a couple of things. First of all, it's a functional design, and functional design means indestructible. And secondly, is that if it breaks, it's super easy to repair. Okay. So that's always the basics and the standards, and it sounds a bit silly to have a key to unlock your your bike,
instead of an app on your telephone,
instead of an app or kicking a rear wheel. But I think in the basics are that you need to ride a bike every time, when and how you would like to use it.
But it's very interesting, because if you look at our product, it's very easy to make sure that the cables are hidden. We could have done that, but for us, it's always a concession. Like, some of the elements are exposed for the simple reason that it's easy to service. It's not only easy to service, but it will also allow a local bike mechanic to actually be open to service your bike, because obviously for them, it's very difficult to count all the hours they need to explore how to fix it, or and secondly, it's also in our design process moving forward. So I'm looking at the headset of the Amsterdam GTS. It has an integrated display, but what we've developed is an integrated display that can be changed if there is an issue within in less than a minute. So of course, with Lekker, we want to innovate, but we do it step by step. It's not that we say like we will never do GPS, we will never do this or never do that. No, we might.
Okay. Yeah.
But we will do it gradually. We do it step by step, and we always look at the markets where we're active. And it's like, okay, if we add this part to our bike, are we sort of the source, or can we use that whole network to support our customers? So again, yeah, it's more a validation of what we've been doing. What I would say is a learning for Van Moof, and it actually made it a little bit easier for us to explain the why behind our product design.
Okay, thank you for answering this question, because Van Moof was a little bit expected. Thanks for asking the questions, by the way. If other people have other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat so we can answer them later on. Maybe a little bit about the valuation of the company, because we've talked about the products, we've talked about your growth strategy, we've talked about a little bit about the financials, of course, and but it's also important to know what the value is of the company and against what price you can buy the shares. Maybe I can elaborate a little bit on that. People who have read the investment deck on the website might have seen the valuation report as well. Out of our calculations, we said, well, the company could be worth 9.2 million euro. That's what follows from the plans, the calculations, using kind of a modest WACC, a risk indicator, and using market standard calculations so far. But we have discussed it with Meinert and Niels and said, well, okay, 9.2 is nice, but we feel comfortable with a little bit lower value to go to the market for our shares. So for now, it's possible to invest basically against a value of 8 million instead of 9.2, which means it's kind of a discount on the valuation you can profit from if you invest right now. We have made calculations based on discounted cash flow, which means looking at future cash flows and get a value from there. We've also looked at the multiple valuation method, multiples on revenue. So that means how many times of your revenue is your company value, so to say. And we've done the same on the EBITDA. And of course, last year EBITDA was negative, so that doesn't really give a good insight into the valuation. But it's more like a validation process. And we've, as a third method, we've also looked at the VC method, which means that we basically ask the question, okay, if I invest right now, what kind of a return would I expect 5 years from now, so to say? And all those calculations give a little bit different results. You can see them in the graph at the screen. But on average, let's say 9.2 million is a reasonable valuation. But you can now buy the shares of LEKKER Bikes against a value of 8 million euro.
So it's a great deal.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
So step in right now.
This is your moment.
Kind of 10 to 15% return immediately. Okay, valuation is one thing, but it's also, of course, important what kind of a return on your investment we will expect. And Meinert already said, well, hopefully, and if we look at the growth, the company's value will grow with 3 to 6 times the current value, so 3 to 6 times the 8 million euro which we apply right now. So that's the one way of looking at it. If you calculate it, let's say back towards a yearly return, then the yearly return on investment will be around 25 to 41% a year on average. So that's quite some good numbers. Mm-hmm. It's not like, let's say, three-digit revenue returns, which should also be ridiculous because no company is going to make 3 digits growth and returns. So we think this is quite a realistic approach. As Meinert says, 30 million euro, it's ambitious, but it should be doable, reasonable. Yeah. So we believe this is kind of a fair valuation and basically a fair valuation, but with the reduction from 9.2 to 8 million, it's also a very attractive moment to step in.
And good to say, like, we're talking a lot about Gen 3. It's not a product that is about to launch in a couple months' time or half a year time. Like, Gen 3 has arrived, will be shipped out to customers.
How many pre-sales have you done?
Well, we're already selling Gen 3 in Australia since November, December. So there's already validation on the margin improvement. So it's not just a number on paper, it's actually validated.
And proof of concept?
A proven concept as in it's
Bikes
been
work.
basically like what we see coming back
last
from
4 or 5
customers
months,
and from Trustpilot. It's being very well received. And yeah, in Europe, what we see as well is that margin improvement is basically a fact. So whatever we say that will push that result to that break-even point is not something that we still need to validate in the future. That's happening right now as we speak.
Okay.
So I think that's I think an important part also to
And what you told me, Niels, last week is that you also had your Gen 3 bikes tested in Germany by TÜV.
Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, what we've decided, especially seeing what happened in the market last year with some players and also a lot of newer e-bike brands failing, we've decided to invest into full certification of our bikes, which is basically something you do together with, for example, in this case, TÜV or TÜV. And it's extensive testing, which eventually led to CE certification, EN certification, a whole list of certifications, both on the bike, but also our batteries.
Okay.
Why did we do that? It's not mandatory. It is in some countries in Europe, but it is advised to look at brands that have that.
And we can learn from it. That's most important.
Well, like most important for us is that we know that we develop a bike that is qualified and that is certified. And I think for us, there's like, we can make marketing videos, love to make marketing videos, but I'd rather just have pure validation of an external partner that is qualified to validate our product. So by saying that we're into the market with Gen 3, a fully certified product, something that gives us also that confidence, because we're obviously selling a growth trajectory here, and we can only do that by being very sure that with this product, we will actually achieve that.
Okay.
Long story short, yes, we have.
Okay, very good. Maybe before we are going to tell a little bit more about the process of investing, Meindert, what's your 3 to 5 year idea on keeping the company, selling the company?
So in 3, max 5 years, we would like to sell the company to a strategic partner. Could be half of the shares, could be everything. But that's a strong focus and plan what we would like to achieve. And that's why I think it's interesting to step in now, to knowing that you can that we are selling or partly or everything of the business in 3 to 5 years time.
And if the company is sold, the shares of the investors will be sold as well, so they will get their return.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, nice. I think this was a lot of information about LEKKER Bikes, the products, your strategy, the finance, the valuation, etc. The key, of course, is how can you invest in LEKKER Bikes? I think there's about 475,000 euros shares available right now on your website. So people can invest right now. A lot of reservations have been made. A lot of investments have been made as well. So
it's been amazing to see.
It's great. It's nice.
Thank you guys for the trust and everything what you do, and we really appreciate it.
It's been fun.
And if we look at how can you invest, I think we try to make that quite easy as well. So you go to the website lekkerbikes.com/invest, and you will get into the investment page, and from there you can easily go to the onboarding area, which is basically software on LEKKER Bikes, on the LEKKER Bikes website. It's proven software from a very big Dutch company. This is the way a lot of companies raise money. you can quite easily open your account and do your investment, and of course you have to pay your investment to get your shares really into your account. It's easy, it's safe. Of course, there will be some checks on your personal situation, so kind of know your customer. So we know who is investing, and if you're, let's say, credible to invest. That's something which is very important from a legal point of view as well. So that's done on the background, so you don't notice anything about that. But then you can invest and pay your investment directly by paying it directly to LEKKER Bikes. So that's quite easy. All the instructions you will find in an email you get when you put in your investment order. And of course, we will improve the process there as well. So we try to ease the process of paying, which will become available tomorrow or somewhere later this week, to make it even easier to invest and to buy your shares.
And don't forget the incentive program.
Oh, the incentive program.
I don't know the list off the top of my head, but there's tote bags, there's discount on bikes, there's boat rides for very large tickets with Meindert as being. Are you the captain?
Sometimes.
Okay, you
have many people buying it.
But that's take you out a priceless experience. I can tell you, being on a boat with Meindert, it might go a little bit faster than you want. No, the incentive program.
Yeah, but they are on the investment page as well, and you will get quite some interesting reduction on buying a bike. So it's buying a bike, buying shares together, makes it even more attractive for you to invest and to become an owner of a marvelous LEKKER bike and become ambassador and shareholder of this marvelous company.
Yes, there is something though.
Okay.
Because we're talking mostly to our European customers here, right?
Yeah, that's
so. They basically have first choice, because what we said is, like, we've been in Australia for a very long time and we have a very large base there, and we will open up the crowdfund as well to them.
Yeah.
A bit later on. So what that effect will be, we have no idea, but you have that exclusivity.
Yeah, definitely.
That's true. Yeah, good to mention, Niels. You're really a marketeer.
Just take that opportunity. It's there for you to grab.
I'm looking at Chris. If there are some more questions we got in.
Yes. Julian wants to know, did you already explore more traditional financing options? Why did you decide to go this route and offer LEKKER customers to become shareholders?
We have Rabobank as a great bank who gave us a loan of 1.7 million. We paid already 200,000 back, so we have still 1.5. We just achieved to have our supplier who is giving us a loan of 500,000 for the Australian business. And what we see is that when you grow 25-30% a year, you need always a little bit more work capital. If you don't make profits or huge profits and you can't reinvest the profits directly into new stock, it's sometimes good to grow a little bit faster than organically. Therefore, we need some investment. And of course, we can go back to the market and ask professional or angel investors. But I think it's also nice to give the opportunity to all the bike riders, family and friends. So that's
to create more investors. Yeah, and to be honest, there are already a lot of investments done over the last few years.
Yeah,
capital investments by a number of people.
Yeah,
who are grouped together in the foundation.
In the stock one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a combination of loans, short-term loans, mid-term loans from the banks, and there's the money, of course, of the early investors, the founder themselves. And now, let's say this third category is the opportunity for you as a customer or fan of LEKKER Bikes to invest in the company.
Yeah.
And that's also possible for reasonable amounts, so to say.
Yeah, reasonable amounts and very reasonable validation.
Exactly.
Yeah. What was the other question?
The other question is about servicing the bikes. Derek asks, when will there be a functional service network in Germany? He has tried to find a dealer in France, and that didn't work out.
Okay. So the question is about when do you have reasonable service availability in Germany network?
Well, I think
no. So what we currently so one of the key projects for this year for both the Netherlands and for Germany is expanding that service network. So in the Netherlands,
you have a network of 1.5 million bike stores.
Yeah, you're just like I'm getting there.
Okay.
No. So in the Netherlands, we're now connecting with QuickFit. So we're setting up that network. Our German team is actually doing the same. So we're talking to several bike shops or service specialists and connect them to the brand. So that's a process that's ongoing with the key objective by the end of the year. Have that network and also have that integration to our website where it's just a little bit easier to see an overview, see a map, and search, for example, on a zip code, a location nearby. How many? It's hard for me to say. The ambition is at least enough to cover there where we sell most bikes.
But the more bikes you sell, the more service points you will probably attract.
And then I think it's not strange to say that we have maybe in 2-3 years time also a store in Paris because it's a great city, a lot of people riding their bikes. So having a hub in Paris with French-speaking people who can service the rest of our friends is reasonable thing to achieve.
It's a great ambition, but we do stay true to only moving away from the Netherlands and Germany when we feel like we really captured.
Yeah,
so
correct.
It is that ambition. It's not set in stone yet, but I think to be honest, in Europe,
there's so much potential
still. Will be the. I think we have another question hanging up in the air.
No, it was actually here. I made a mistake. It was Frankfurt instead of France.
Yeah, you said France. I was like,
yeah.
Frankfurt. Yeah, I know that there's.
But we have service centers in Frankfurt, right?
I don't know off the top of my head, but Frankfurt is one of the cities where we do sell LEKKER Bikes. I assume that's also where the question is coming from. So yeah, it's on the list. So
very good. Yeah.
Key major cities first. Yeah.
Okay, more questions, Chris?
That's it for now.
Okay, great. Well, hopefully this was quite an informal an evening with a lot of information, so you know everything.
Oh, is there a question?
Is there? Oh,
through email.
Yeah.
Coming from all angles.
Yeah, definitely.
How much can I invest?
How much can I invest?
It's between the 500.5 million euro.
If enough shares are available.
But
there's no 500,000 shares available.
No, so there's only, I think, out of the 475, there's only 300 still available.
360.
There is already 535 invested. In total, we have 640,000 what's already invested in the previous round. 470 is open for now. Already 100 is convert. So we have 300 left.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the
Great.
last.
So it's a lot of figures, but if you go to the website,
you can
try to invest, you can see the available availability. So
yes.
That's a good question. Right. We will put a link on the website with possibility to relook this Q&A, live Q&A.
Yeah.
So if you missed something or you want to listen back or to see back, follow us, and the link will be available, I think, tomorrow or at least on Thursday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Meinert. Thank you, Niels.
Yeah.
For telling us all about your dreams, the company, the products.
Sitting on the couch in the store.
Exactly.
This was fun.
Right? Yeah, it was fun.
I mean, I've never crowdfunded, so all of this is a new experience, and like I said, it's a lot of fun being able to give a little piece of LEKKER, and next to
you really
bikes,
live LEKKER because you can talk about it easily, and you.
This is very hard for me. Like if you ask the wrong question, I'm just going to take 3 hours here. Like we need to get to Uber Eats in.
Okay, I'm going to round up. Thanks all again for watching us, and hopefully you will invest in LEKKER.
One thing. So if there's any questions, you can just send your questions in. I will be taking care of the inbox together with Rob. So if there's anything after this talk, or if you rewatch this, make sure to email. We check it every day, and we try to give you an answer.
And the email address is
invest@lekkerbikes.com. Yes.
So invest@lekkerbikes.com.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks everyone.
Have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Bye.